instead open my eyes to the fact that sometimes when God calls us to things that we truly are not capable of, we just need to remember that He is. And I think all of us can look back on our lives and say that we've seen too much. You know, we've seen when God has picked us up off the floor and wiped our tears and helps us to go on. So I wanted to share this devotion with y'all. And this is a guy I've really come to love, Paul David Tripp. He wrote New Morning Mercies. No need to fear what God will ask of you, because in the asking is always the promise of grace to empower your heart and hands. Consider God's call to Moses. Moses was called to lead the Israelites out of their cruel captivity in Egypt. But Moses said, "Who am I that I should lead the people out? I can't even speak right. I'm not eloquent, either in the past, and I'm slow of speech and of tongue." And I can always relate to this because I was a speech therapist. And I think the theory is that Moses was probably a stutterer. And so he really did not feel qualified to do what God asked him to do. And then this was the verse that really got to me. "Oh, my Lord, please just send someone else." Have you ever felt like that? That I can't do this. But she'd be really good at it. Call her. Moses does what we often do as we evaluate what God has put on our plates and how He's called us to respond. But he omits the ultimate fact that changes everything about the way we think and should respond to God's call. It's not the size of the situation or the size of your wisdom or strength. This life-changing fact is that the God of glory and grace, who calls His people to do His will on earth, always goes with them when they obey His calling. He never sends without going to. He always gives you Himself because He is what you need, and He alone can give you what's required. When Moses finally says, "Oh, my Lord, please send someone else," it's clear that he doesn't understand God's power, and he doesn't understand that he's a child of God. He is a child of the King, and you are all children of the King. Because he is God's chosen child, he is never, ever alone. Because he's God's child, God will never send him on a task by himself. Hope for his success is not to be found in his personal strength and wisdom, but in the expansive glory of the one who sent him. Remember today that when God sends, he goes too. I think most of y'all know Erlene's story. And Erlene, I didn't know if you would want to share anything, but I have looked at Erlene and I have seen her lose her husband. I've seen her stand by her daughter when she had cancer. I've seen her lose her daughter, and yet she is still standing. And that is because God has gone with her. He's never left her, nor has He forsaken her. And that is a beautiful thing. That is the most powerful witness that we have. I think about our homebound ministry. You know, Laura, we've talked about this, and Kim. Sometimes I think when we're called to do something, maybe it's not something we even feel comfortable doing. But if God calls you, then He makes a way. I've watched Laura really minister to Kathy Ledoux in so many ways. You know, Kathy shows up at church. Well, who brought her? Laura. Kathy gets groceries and gets her prescriptions. Well, who got those for her? Laura. And Laura Laura does it in such a quiet, sweet way that it's really wonderful. I heard about someone that needed help today. Um, Pastor Rick let a couple of us know about Kathy White, who is going into hospice. And I don't know if all of you know Kathy, but she is a precious woman and has had Alzheimer's. And so this is me. Well, I don't know what I can do, but I can make some food, and I'll just drop it off at the door. Well, of course, it doesn't work out that way. There's no one to drop it off to the door there. So went in and just had the most amazing visit with Kathy. It was just precious, really made my whole day. And I thought, isn't that like the Lord? He calls us to do something that we don't feel really qualified to do, or maybe just not comfortable doing, and turns it into the biggest blessing for ourselves. I was teasing Kim because Kim is so amazing with Homebound. When people are really ill, she she just has that knack. So today I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to channel my Kim. And what would Kim do? And that really is the truth. That really is the truth. But we just have talked so much about what a blessing that program is, and really more of a blessing to the people that get to do it than the people that are the patients. So I just want to encourage you tonight that whatever you feel like God is niggling you to do, and you feel definitely like you're not qualified, that probably is a sure sign that He is telling you to do it, and He will be right there with you. Jenny, do you have anything you'd like to share about that? I know Jenny has done some amazing things. She is a nurse at St. Tammany, and has taken on a new family, really, and just is this amazing mom. And I'm sure that at times it's overwhelming, but I've watched her do it with such grace and strength that it's just so encouraging to me. You know, there's so many things going on in our world right now that we have no control over. But if you sit and you watch Fox, CNN, Newsmax, whatever you watch, it can really bring you down. And truly you think, there's no hope for this world. But I think that song, why it made such an impression on me, it's like no matter what your situation is or what the future looks like, look at what God has already done for us. I look around this church and I am amazed at what God has done in 3 or 4 years. When Pastor Rick came, I think were there 20 people in church or maybe 30, and now both of the services are full a lot of times. There are children. Kim knows Kim's daughter has rescued the child care program, and they're full every Sunday. And it's just amazing. And you think, did we do that? No, we didn't do it, but God did it. So when you get discouraged or you feel like the task ahead is really not cut out for your gifts, that probably means that God is really whispering to you. Amanda, did you have anything you wanted to add? Right. Right. Yes. The Spirit of the Lord is not fear, but peace and love and a sound mind. And that is very comforting to me. Do any of y'all ever wake up in the middle of the night just kind of gripped with anxiety? Right. Right. And what good does that do, really? It just kind of gives you bags under your eyes the next day. But I've learned and I don't have those nights too often, thank goodness, but I have learned that when I have those, it's just great to get up and go and grab your Bible. And usually the Lord will have you open to just the passage that you need. Um, I was sharing the other day, I love to journal. And so for 40 years, I have every morning, I'll write my prayers down. Now, I've had to burn some of those prayers because if I drop dead tomorrow, I don't want to be incriminated. But, some of those things I've been praying for, like my sons, one of them for 40 years. And has God answered every single prayer I've ever prayed in the way I thought He would? No, He hasn't. But sometimes His answers are even better than I would have thought. So I just want to encourage you that if you look back on your life, you will probably see the Lord's hand. And if you are called to do something you do not feel qualified to do, be assured that that's probably the Lord. Is there anything y'all would like to share? I know, Kim, we've shared so many stories. Mm-hmm. 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 Absolutely. Absolutely. It reminds me of a story. Miss Kay had a minor skin cancer removed yesterday. But, when you're going through that, it's anxiety producing. And so she went in and she told me that when she got in there, the nurses all had masks on and nobody was talking and the doctor wasn't talking. And so they did the surgery. And if you know Miss Kay, she can be a little outspoken sometimes. So as they were taking out her stitches, she said, "Can I just share something?" She said, "I am 83 years old, but I am still a person and I need someone to talk to me." And she said the little nurse took off her mask and was like a different person to her. And so I applauded her. I said, "You know what, Kay? That may change her whole career." That she realizes it's not just patient 1, 2, 3, 4, but it's Sally or it's Bobby, and they're scared. And I think that is so true. That the fact that that nurse became a person to Kay made Kay's day. And I thought, how many times are we in the grocery store with the checkout person and they're having a bad day, and you can tell. If we would just truly ask them how they're doing and really listen, it could change their whole day. So I just want to encourage you with that. Thank you, Kim, for sharing that because that's very true. And we do have disagreements with sometimes people in the church, and that's okay. Not everybody's like me that detests conflict, okay? Some people kind of like it. Don't understand those people, but it's okay. And I think we can work through things just like in a family and go on and be stronger. But Laura, is there anything you'd like to share about the Homebound program? Mm-hmm. And too, I think we need to remember it's not just that we're ministering to the patient. Like today, Pastor Rick went and visited Kathy and Bob also. And so for an hour, he let Bob talk. Bob was talking about probably his fears, his worries, plans. And so Rick was there for him. And that is such a blessing because I often think that sometimes it's harder for the caregiver than it really is for the patient. And the caregivers are exhausted. They truly are. They're overwhelmed. And so it's not that you're always called to be with a person that's dying. They may have a shoulder replacement, or you might be called to their family member just to be a special friend. Kim and I laugh because Fred sometimes now will call us and we're on the phone for an hour, and just visiting, and the journey doesn't stop when there is a death in the family. The journey continues. And so that is one of my goals for the Homebound mission team, is that we will be there for these people with the follow-up and the follow-through. And that you really do. I was visiting with Carrie, Dr. Steve's wife, today, and she was just saying, she said, Susan, the most important thing y'all can do for us is pray. She said, I need wisdom. There's so many details. So although the funeral's over, the celebration of life, but their lives go on and they're forever changed. I know Carol, we were in Disciple when Carol's daughter-in-law died. And just watching the gracious way that Carol offered help to her son and his family was so inspiring to me. She was just there, and whatever they needed, she said that she got to go with Margaret's daughter to pick out a wedding dress just recently. And so she's still there. Carol, 4 years later, is it? Yeah. So I think we just need to remember that when God calls us to do something, sometimes there's not really a stopping point. Those things continue. I know with Mr. Greg, Amanda has been amazing. And my little hero, Tori, has stood by a special friend. And that Tori is amazing. Tori is in high school, and she has exhibited to me what friendship really is. It's standing by people when maybe their situation isn't the best, and maybe other people don't understand why she's sticking by her friend. But that's amazing, Tori. So we applaud you. Okay.
It's kind of, I guess, partly my fault. My so-called friend never showed up tonight because I never reached back out to her. So the speaker was someone that I was a friend with 30-something years ago. And about 3 weeks ago, I was at Walgreens coming out with our invitations and all. And I pressed the button to open my car, but didn't go to my car. Went to another car, which happened to be this girl, this lady. And she went back, and I went back. I went, oh, I'm so sorry. She says, don't feel bad. I did this just a while back with my husband. Well, we got to talking, because, I don't talk much. So we got to talking, and it was just everything just kept fitting in. It was like her husband's name was Jerry. My husband's name was Jerry. He does a gig at Country Club, Covington Country Club. Well, that's where my husband's last job was. Then we got to talking a little bit more, and before I knew it, she started writing her name down because she told me she spoke and she sung. And I told her about our church, and I gave her an invitation. And she went, well, let me give you my number and you can call me. She can have her call me. Well, when she started writing her name, I saw the flyer and I saw her husband's name, Jerry Cash. And I went, Sandy Cash? She went, yes. I said, Sandy, you spoke for me 30 something years ago on the West Bank at a country club when I was president of the Christian Women's Club out there. She went, oh my gosh, yes. But I mean, you got to realize I had brown hair. I wasn't a size 5. She was a little blonde, she's gray hair now. So it was just, such a change. But I felt like, it was a mistake. I went to the core, but then I felt like it wasn't a mistake because we needed a speaker, and I thought that was God's way of leading me. So I feel kind of upset she never showed up tonight. But we'll have to work on her. But anyway, it's going to be a year next month that I lost my daughter. So that's why I got my pink on. And my son sent me something day before yesterday that I shared with Rick. He went to work, went into the office, and when his brother-in-law, who's head of him, came out, he said, Blaine, I have something to show you. So Blaine went outside, and Pelican Car Wash on Highway 25, I think it is, going to Folsom, is doing a memorial in honor of my daughter. They have a table set out with the pink tablecloth. They have a beautiful picture of Jerry Lynn. And they have a little donation box. And the money that they're going to raise, they're just taking donations, pennies, nickels, dollars, checks. This is my daughter. And this is the picture. I know y'all can't see it. I can show it to y'all after. It's in a beautiful pink frame. And they have these little boxes for donations that they're going to be accepting this month. And they're going to give it to Maryburg because that's where she went. But the saying really touched me. I guess I was telling what Chris did. He went inside and told Blaine to come see. And so when Blaine went outside, this table was there. And, of course, he did what his mom always does. So he sends me a text of the 3 pictures. So I went out there, cried all the way getting there. And when I got there, Chris said, don't come here like this. I said, I can't help it. Look what you're doing. So then I said, where's Blaine? He said, he's in the office. So I went to the office, and he's coming out, and he goes, Ma. And that's when he started crying. He tries to be a bear, but he's just a little teddy bear. He takes after his mom for that, thank God. But I just wanted to share with you that, it doesn't seem like a year, but in many ways it seems like it's been years. And I heard a song this week. It said, the song, Jealous of the Angels. And I am jealous of the angels, but I know one day I'll be with them and I'll be with my angels. But last but not least, I have one thing to say about Waldheim Church. I've been here for 20-something years, and it's my family. My biological family and I are not close. Deaths have broken our family because my sisters are not me. But they take everything wrong. That's all I can say. And I keep praying for them, and maybe one day they'll see the light. But I have sisters here. The day my daughter passed, I had 2, Susan and Kim. They don't know how great they were to me that night. Kim left, went home, got a Bible, and got a hymnal. And we spent the last hour of Jerry Lynn's life singing songs and praying. And she passed right after her brother and sister left, and I think that's what she wanted. She didn't want them there because she didn't want them to see her pass. But I had these 2 with me with Rosanna, my best friend, and I think that's how she wanted it. And like I was told by some people, she was with who she needed to be with. She was with people that really believed in God, because her 3 last requests to me was, do I have a place to be buried? Yeah, with your dad. Will your pastor be my pastor? I knew that wasn't going to be a problem. But my 3rd one's my hardest one, and that's to keep peace with David because of my grandson. And it's been testy, it's been hard. But a lot of people are praying for me and continue praying for me because Raymond is Jerry Lynn. He's only 8, but he's autistic. He has issues, he has his moments. But he's got Mimi teaching him about Jesus, and his mom's an angel. And that's how I want him to remember her. And y'all keep praying me for strength because I know y'all will because y'all are my backbone. And I think that's all I have to say.
That was beautiful. Thank you so much. Yes, yes. It's In the Valleys I Grow by Jane Eagleston. Sometimes life seems hard to bear, full of sorrow, trouble, and woe. It's then I have to remember that it's in the valleys I grow. If I always stayed on the mountaintop and never experienced pain, I would never appreciate God's love, and living would be in vain. I have so much to learn, and my growth is very slow. Sometimes I need the mountaintops, but it's in the valleys that I grow. I do not always understand why things happen as they do, but I'm very sure of one thing: my Lord will see me through. My little valleys are nothing when I picture Christ on the cross. He went through the valley of death. His victory was Satan's loss. Forgive me, Lord, for complaining when I'm feeling very low. Just give me a gentle reminder that it's in the valley that I grow. Continue to strengthen me, Lord, and use my life each day to share your love with others and help them find their way. Thank you for the valleys, Lord, for this one thing I know: the mountaintops are glorious, but it's in the valleys that I grow. Thank you, Amanda. That's beautiful. Yes, yes, that's beautiful. Well, would anybody like to share anything else? Or we can go to prayer requests. Okay, that is great. I would like